Alright. Hi, gang. Um, Sorry about that. Had a computer malfunction. Alright. Today we're going to start talking about integers. So, a couple things we have to know. We have to know what is an integer, how do I read an integer, and what are integers useful for in life. So, if we look at our notes packet that you should all have, I have some examples of numbers that are integers. So it says a positive 134 is an integer, and negative 80 is an integer. So I would read that as positive 134 and negative 80. Right? So let's look at a number line here. Number lines are going to be our best friends in this chapter. So we're going to take a look at a number line, and I can see that anything that is less than 0 is a negative integer. So here's my number line, here's 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. All of those are negative integers. I am a positive integer then if I am positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, positive 5, positive 6. Positive numbers are what we've been used to working with up until this point. So a positive number is a regular old 6. Okay? 0 is neither positive nor negative. So 0 is like neutral. Right? Now, what is awesome about positive and negative integers is that's what we're going to use to represent problems in real life. So if I have Mount McKinley in Alaska being the highest point in the United States, it is 20,320 feet above sea level. So above sea level clues me in that it's going to be a positive integer here. Ken deposited money into his checking account. So we know from BizTown that depositing money into my checking account means that I now have an extra $75 in my checking account. Let's look at a negative one. Again, we know from BizTown that withdrawing money means I am taking money out of my checking account. So to represent taking money out of my checking account, like I'm going to spend it, that's negative $25. Negative, so I'd write negative 25. The Bears, which is a football team, Chicago Bears, lost 5 yards on the last play. That means negative 5 is an integer. Okay, so those are some examples of when are we going to use integers. Now, I can see that I have some definitions here. So by definition, an integer includes all whole numbers and their opposites. For every positive integer, there's an opposite or a negative integer. So we're going to talk about opposites here. Integers that are opposites are the same distance from 0 on a number line, but in opposite directions. What do we think opposite direction means? Oh yeah, one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Alright, so let's identify a few opposites that we have here. So again, number line is going to be our best friend. So here's my number line. So let's look at one that we can look at together. Let me change, I don't know what color that was. So here's an integer, negative 1. My opposite of that is going to be positive 1. So a negative integer, or I'm sorry, just an integer is negative 1. What's its opposite? 1. Let's look at another one. Let's do a positive one this time. So here I've got 4. So 4 is the number that I chose. What's the opposite of 4? Well, if I take a look, the opposite, pardon my line, the opposite of 4 is negative 4. Right? So I am 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything that's to the right are positive numbers. So I'm going to go 4 backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything to the left are negative numbers. So the opposite of 4 is negative 4. And let's do another one that's not on here. Let's do negative 6. So if we choose negative 6, what's going to be the opposite of negative 6? The opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. So that's going to be 6. Alright, next key idea. So that was again dealing with opposites. Next key idea is knowing the absolute value of an integer. So the absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. That number line again is our best friend. So these little bars tell me the absolute value, my two parallel lines. So what's the absolute value of negative 3? Well, I know that here's negative 3 on my number line. I know that negative 3 is 1, 2, 3 units away from 0. So the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. How many spots away from 0 am I? I'm 3 spots. How about positive 3? What's the absolute value of positive 3? Well, there's 3. I'm still 1, 2, 3. I am still 3 units away from 0. So the absolute value of positive 3 is 3. So when I give my answer, this tells me what my absolute value is. Okay? So the absolute value of 15. I am 15 units away from 0. So 15 is my answer. Negative 27. What's the absolute value of negative 27? Well, negative 27 is still 27 spots or units away from 0. So the absolute value of negative 27 is 27. The absolute value of 109 is 109. The absolute value of negative 74. So how many spots away am I from 0? I am 74 spots away. So what have we noticed about the absolute value is always a positive number or a negative number? Hopefully we have written down the absolute value is always a positive number. So if I'm asked to find the absolute value of something, I should always have a positive number. Alright, I think we're ready for some U-tray problems. So you can go ahead and hit pause and then check back in with me in just a second to see the correct answers. So we'll see you in just a few seconds. Alright, here are my answers to the U-tray problems. Point A is located at negative 4. I'm just reading a number line here. Point B is located at negative 1. Point C is graphed at positive 4. If I lose 15 yards, I am negative 15 yards. A deposit of $30 is 30. The opposites of my numbers, the opposite of 7 is negative 7. The opposite of negative 9 is 9. The opposite of negative 2 is 2. The opposite of 8 is negative 8. The absolute value of 1,000 is 1,000. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. So this is writing an integer and understanding what integers mean, opposites, and finding the absolute value. We will see you tomorrow in class.